So Evelyn, Mia, Elia, Emma, right, Martin. So it's a kind of a mixed feelings. I can sense it because we are getting close to this final exams, and there are so many courses, assignments, and homeworks. It's the time that is not in a situation to celebrate. Well, that's fine. But it's good. That's what I'm telling. Being exhausted, feeling nervous, anxiety, you should see this. It's really good to your mental health. Maybe right now or a couple days, you could be struggling or find it disappointed or exhausted mindset, but that's not the end of the world. So I will always believe today is not the end of the world. What you feel today, nervous, anxiety, dull, whatever you think that is not cooperative with your happy day, I mean, you are just planting yourself to grow with happiness. It's because we can't see or feel the happiness of future right now is the biggest concern among every one of us. So to my experience, being a student and a teacher, a researcher, and a married man, then lived as a bachelor. So to my experience, I can tell you your struggles are the best part of your life, which is good, that will double your happiness, but you don't know when that exactly comes with you to live some kind of a constant thinking and actively working with people. It's a kind of a healthy smile that you will be experiencing at the workplace or with your people. So it consumes a little time, but you should accept this kind of anxiety. It's really good. You should take it. That's what I take it. Then I can recall, and I can see that was once was okay. It was good. That's because of that now I'm happy. And what one trick or method that works well with me every time when I'm exhausted or experiencing this anxiety or dull, what I do immediately, I don't speak to people. I go and take a nap. Or that night, I sleep early. I usually go to bed by 11 p.m. But when I'm not okay with my mindset, I sleep 8:30 or 9 p.m. The moment I go to bed and then wake up early by 4 or 5, sometimes 3 a.m., I find my anxiety somehow faded. And I will have that constant thinking towards working with solutions. So, working with solutions, thinking towards the solutions is happening only when I'm awake from a nap or going to bed early that night. So this works well with me. I'm not sure this will be working with every one of you, but you can give it a try. It's been experimenting this for about 12 years during my PhD time and during my job abroad for the first time in my life, because being a lonely life, did not know how to speak not even 2 or 3 words in Chinese, and so being a loner in a foreign country, then switching to a new job, adapting to that culture and the new courses, familiarizing and specializing that particular courses, managing time with new students, new courses. So I've got an experience at a lot of anxiety until I'm familiar with. Then got married, got children, got a child, and raising a child without a support, you've got a lot of anxiety, dull, exhausted. For the first 3 years, raising a kid without support. And then that's it. So all of these, I'm experiencing kind of a mixed feelings. When I agreed on that, to make up my mind, go to bed early or take a nap is one of the possible solution, worked well with me, then you can see me. I speak most of the time with smile. It's because I know how to handle my anxiety when I'm exhausted with my constant thinking. How to handle this. So similarly, you will get your own method that you can manage that moment, and you will find it's good to get a real happiness from complex to something simple. Well, with this, let's start. It's been 10 minutes. I hope I have supported some information, could be beneficial. Well, this week, and it's this week is very special to me because the course English debate week 12 is very special. It's because this is the first week we are going to practice and familiarize what is going to happen in the debate ground. Who are they involved? And what do they do? What is their responsibilities? So, all such things we will start learning from week 12, which is right now. So, this week 1 to 12, for a long time, for about 11 weeks, what did we do? If there is one big question with your mind, you can recall. Toolman theory or framework, logical fallacies, gathering evidence and gathering information and evaluating the evidence, and then taking analytical notes. So these are 4 big concepts that we have been learning for 12 weeks, maybe 10 weeks. What is that 4 things beneficial for? Toolman framework, logical fallacy, taking analytical notes, gathering and evaluating information. Four big concepts are beneficial to face the real world, to, to be successful at the workplace, to convince everyday situation, people you meet on the way or in your classroom with your families. So these four concepts will help you to live in the real world. But this week, it's nothing but introducing debate activity or debate contest. What's happening? What is the basics that we should be familiar with? So that's it. Right. So before we get into this, I can tell you one learning method works well with me, as I am a source of evidence, or I experiment myself, and I find it's beneficial and effective. I'm trying to share with you and making you to experience that method. If that works well with you, you can use that method to learn your courses or any other courses. That's if what I can tell you. It's predicting, because we are living in a judgmental society, because we are judged every day. We are predicted by the situation, by the people, by the circumstances. So we are living in a judgmental society or everyday situation. Therefore, we will make use of it. Instead of judging people, let's judging ideas. Let's predict information, which means predicting objectively makes you to grow. Judging objectively makes you to grow in your life. Then judging or predicting subjectively, because on people. So anything that goes with the subjectivity makes you fall. So predicting with objectivity makes you grow. So with this in mind, with this concept in mind, we will start with this lesson. We will experience this. And this predicting this English debate contest, how this could be, who are they, what do they do, what is the lesson about this week? Let me show you. So the lesson, it's all about constructing propositional case. So I want you to have a mindset, I'm going to predict objectively or judge objectively about this lesson. What comes to your mind? That's the key question. Constructing propositional case. Who do you think they are involved with in the debate? So, let me help you read out my favorite reading section of every lesson is this. So, this section will always helps me or stimulate my thinking to predict what could be the what could be the lesson that I'm going to read, that I'm going to learn from 16 pages. So predicting is a method that you can involve yourself or adapt. So let me read this out. How does the government open the debate? What are the roles and responsibilities of the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister? Well, assuming proper roles will gain you and your team an edge in debating. So, just as finding your niche, you will get you closer to your dream in real life. So, like I told you, you will take a close look at each role in a BP debate. And then you will start with the opening government team. So, this is how that makes me to predict government, Prime Minister, BP debate, and roles and responsibilities. So making use of these key words will helps me to predict. So let me show you. Let me help you to experience it. That's one of the important thing of this week. So join us. We would better set 2 minutes waiting time. The one who is able to join us in 2 minutes, the one who joined already, their waiting time is just 2 minutes. Then we will explore through predicting method, and then we learn from one another through your responses to the activity. Let's start here. Right. Well, thank you. That's a quick joining for experiencing, predicting, and about constructing a propositional case which is relevant to English debate. Mingli, Roxy, Kongwang Raksena, Lydia Yunlong Fang, Emma Xu Yan-san. So we've got another 1 minute. So what I'm asking you, one last thing, I need you to imagine yourself that you are a part of a debate contest, either an audience or a debater. So if you have such a mindset, then we can experience this lesson, constructing propositional case. Right? So what we have now, 22 students are willing to join us to experience learning the roles and responsibilities of English debate contest participation. Well, let's get started. I hope you can view the slide on your device. So, having some guessings or prediction with our mind, let me share you what I have had in my mind and how similar you and I. Constructing propositional case, what came up with my mind is nothing but Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, they do this constructing propositional case 15 minutes as a preparation time. What do they do? This first 15 minutes before it gets started, they will be analyzing the motion, and then they will be developing team strategies and develop the outline for the first 7 minutes speech. Finally, get prepared for possible counter arguments from the oppositional side. So this is how what we have guessed when we see this constructing a propositional case. So before we get into the another slide, let me help you the purpose or benefit of understanding or participating to the debate contest. As far as my understanding, debate contest is like a scientist working with the laboratory, experimenting a new medicine. Or let's take for example COVID-19. Across the globe, every country, there are more than 4 universities or scientists working with finding vaccines or come up with a vaccine that could support general public. So a scientist have got this theoretical knowledge and basic understanding, but that's not enough for them. Once they have learned all about, they are experimenting their medicine with rats, with other animals. When they find it, we don't get any side effect with the statistical results or with the number of experiments. They're taking it to general public. They're trying with phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Once they are successful, 3 phases or 6 months to 1 year, then it comes to general public as a vaccine mandatory for all. So a scientist working with the laboratory, it's a kind of experimenting his medicine. Similarly, we language people or scientists too, we language graduates or language experts, we work with mental health thinking to convince the audience or change the audience the way they are thinking. So we need to experiment our mental health thinking, our strategies, our ideas, our range of information on a relevant task. These all should be experimented like a scientist is experimenting in the laboratory. So for us, this English debate, public speaking, participating on a seminar, presenting a paper on a conference, maybe outside the university. So if you could treat these 4, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, by presenting your information applied with the Toolman framework, with logical fallacies, gathering and evaluating information, taking analytical notes. These 4 things should be experimented. 4 phases. Phase 1 could be participating in a seminar in the classroom. Number 2, participating public speaking in the university. Number 3, participating English debate contest or competition as a debater. Number 4, go out of the university, present a paper in the conference. If you think you have experimented 4 phases, then you are ready to face the general public, or you are ready to work with people at the workplace. So, if you could agree with me, English debate is one of the experiment phase number 3 for your mental health thinking, how effectively works, and you experience the feedback from the audience, get feedback from the judges, and see how analytically you think from the point of view of your opponents, which makes you satisfied, or which makes you where you are right now. What level are you right now? And then we move forward. Right, I hope you're listening. I can come back as soon as we end with this. Wait for a minute. That's all I wanted. So this is how I need you to have this accountability of playing the role of a debater when it comes to an opportunity in the university. Week 14, you are going to play a role play of a debater, week 14 and week 15. So grab your opportunity, experiment yourself, which helps you to grow, start or restart your learning. It's because language professionals, language graduates, we see this speaking, arguing is a kind of a game only when you are able to think constantly and continuously practice with relevant information. Alright, so with this, I thought of telling you cricket, NBA, and baseball or ping pong. These people, they should be working hard with their physical health and with practice. But for us, the playground is our mental health, thinking constantly and continuously practice, performing with the number of experiments. So treat yourself, mental health thinking is your playground. Say English debate is one of the experiment which helps you to feel satisfied. Once you think you're satisfied, you are ready for the workplace and you are ready to the real world communication. So with this, I trying to create a mindset. English debate is an activity you are going to experience. War of words. So be prepared and be prepared. Grab the opportunity. Now we will familiarize starting from constructing propositional case right in here. Well then, I hope now you can agree with me. Why do we need to practice or perform or participate in English debate when you are a language graduate? So this is these are some basics that we should be familiar with when it comes to a propositional case involved with Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, who are expected make good use of the 15-minute preparation time to analyze the motion and develop team strategies, develop the outline for the first 7-minute speech, and get prepared for possible counter arguments from the oppositional side. Let me take you through this one part of understanding, and in continuation, what is their outcome? What do they want to achieve by doing all this? Or why do you think they debate? So if there is such question, then there is one thing. BP debate is nothing but British Parliament debate. England, we have British Parliament. So it's a combination of House of Commons and House of Lords. So the role of a British Parliament is to examine what the government is doing, makes new laws, holds the power to set taxes, and debate the issue of the day. So what we debate in the university, it's a model that we have adapted from the British parliamentary style debating, because language and culture should go hand in hand. English is a language that originally come from England. So that's what the history taught us. So we borrow the culture, English culture, debating. So British parliamentary is a place, it's a supreme body of the government involved with educated learners, experts, recognized people. Therefore, it's good to adapt a British Parliament style to debate in the university. So, in British Parliament, we have got two sites. One is House of Commons and House of Lords. The purpose is to assist members of the Parliament and Lords. As you can understand, I'm sorry about that. As you can understand, Prime Minister is the administrator of a nation. For example, England, Prime Minister is the administrator. India, Prime Minister is the administrator. I guess my prediction may say for China could be Premier is the administrator of the nation. So they have got the responsibility to promote or set taxes, making new laws or bringing new policies, because they have the responsibility to use taxpayers' money, and that money should be invested on the benefit. So it should be beneficial, should be useful, and should be effective. So such these things should be debated in the British Parliament. So House of Lords and members of the Parliament, they fine-tune the proposed proposal, the proposed policies performed by the Prime Minister. So, which is debatable, and it's not the case of being against the Prime Minister, because Prime Minister is not the person proposing anything to his own benefit. He is a person to serve the nation, protect the people, renovate the country. Therefore, the House of Lords or opponent team, their role and responsibility is not always against him, or is not a responsibility to prove the Prime Minister wrong. The opponent team responsibility is to ensure the effectiveness and efficiency and beneficial and the validity that goes to the people for the country. So with this, some of my basic understanding with you, let's see how far are you capable of predicting, connecting my information and your prediction. That's the key of this lesson. So you can agree with me, there are two teams. Opening government team, which is involved by Prime Minister, because as I said, Prime Minister have got the responsibility to propose policies, set taxes, or renovate anything, or protect the laws. So he is the first speaker of the debate, and then he does the groundwork of the entire debate by defining the motion. Let me take you through one example in here. Whether agree or disagree. For example, we have an article, page number 25 from your book. Thin line between patriotism and arrogance. So if I propose, there is no connection between patriotism, there is no thin line between patriotism and arrogance, then I should come up with my own definition of patriotism. So let me tell you what is the definition of a patriotism. What comes to my mind when I see patriotism? For me, patriotism is nothing but being faithful to the culture wherever you live. I lived in Hubei for 1 year, and I lived in Guangxi for 4 years. Then I lived across India. I lived in the countryside in India, and I'm living in the big city of my country. Then traveled across India, and then traveled to Hong Kong, traveled to Thailand and Macau. So with my experience, what makes me to say patriotism is nothing but being faithful to the culture, because people love people. That's the human culture. If you respect the culture, then you can be happy no matter wherever you live, wherever you travel. So, through my experience, I've never had any problems. Hubei, Guangxi, across India, big city, Hong Kong, or anywhere else. I enjoyed traveling and living with new people. It's because of my definition of patriotism, respecting the culture, faithful to the culture wherever I live accordingly. Therefore, I cannot agree only thin line between patriotism and arrogance. These two are two different directions. It can't be the only thin difference. So this is some of my experience as an evidence that I proposed, defining what is patriotism. And arrogance is no, it's the opposite of it. There is no such connection. So the opponent team may come up with possible examples. When you read page number 25, the author or the debater came up with, he agreeing there is only thin line between patriotism and arrogance. It's because of this nationalistic feeling is what they think it's patriotism. But me as an opponent, I disagree, because my authentic experience proved patriotism is no way a thin line to arrogance, no way get closer to arrogance. So, being against with my own understanding, my own basic understanding about patriotism, therefore I disagree with the author who mentioned in page number 25 article. So therefore, a prime minister's role is to define the motion. As the leader of opposition, I have responded, no, it's not, I disagree, because my example proved it is no connection. When you see, you have to see people love people, that's human culture. Being faithful to human culture is what patriotic, because people now move from one place to another place for living, for studying, for getting married, for traveling. We are living on the 21st century. It's an information era. You cannot have a nationalistic feeling. Keep proving thin line between patriotism and arrogance. No, it is not. It is not working in the 21st century. Well, that's what defining the motion, which means giving the definition of the key terms of the proposition. So, opening government team, there is one more person who is involved, a deputy prime minister. His role is to listen actively, start with a rebuttal speech, and strengthening prime minister's argument, acknowledging prime minister's ideas, then making new substantive argument in favor of the motion, because the motion is set by the prime minister, and the deputy prime minister's responsibility to support and be a team player. So prime minister, deputy prime minister, or the opening government. So having with this in your mind. Let me check how come your prediction works. Well, I'm sorry about this. 40 minutes is some kind of a basic understanding. I want you to have it or plant a basic understanding about the purpose of debate and debate contest is to understand whether you agree or disagree. Debate is based on the fair exchange of opinion. So your predictions, or you're listening to my experiences or thoughts, which makes you to agree that 16 of us, but 4 of us disagree, or 2 of us neutral. Let me check who gets a win in this democratic polling world. Well, debate is based on a fair exchange of opinion. It's not always going against the Prime Minister. It's not the purpose of proving the Prime Minister wrong. That's not the debate. It is a fair exchange of opinion which is proposed by the Prime Minister, which is what we call it, fine-tuned the information. So that's what I came up with. The outcome is to come up with an informed decision on a subject or on a motion. So this is how what we see. It's a fair exchange of opinion. We can experience a British Parliament debate between House of Commons and House of Lords in England. So similarly, when it comes to English debate contest, when the motion of a debate set by the Prime Minister, just think of it. We are not proving the Prime Minister wrong, but try to convince the Prime Minister that he did not come up with a broader sense in such a way. But let me tell you, if you can predict, and the lesson of this week, constructing propositional case, the proposition is always against the motion. What sounds makes sense to you? Agree or disagree? This is all about understanding the basics of constructing propositional case. Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, or the opening government of the proposition team. Therefore, proposition is always against the motion. So there are 3 people what we see true. The polling what we see 17 is false. So which makes me happy that you have got the basic understanding what is proposition and what is a motion of a debate. Indeed, when you agree with me, it's a fair exchange of opinion. Proposition is proposed by the opening government team. Prime Minister is setting the motion of a debate. Therefore, it is false. And another prediction, imagine yourself, you are a debater or part of the debate. What can you predict when you happen to see POI, and when can a debater ask for a POI? Liu Yuxuan, Charles Wang, Martin. Well, thank you, Roxy. So, have courage to predict. That's the key. We are trying to learn and experiment. After your prediction, we will learn from one another. This is one of the best examples that you have courage to predict. When can a debater ask for a POI? At the end of the speech, at the beginning of the speech, after the first minute of the speech. But in a democratic world, the number of polling that gets a win, number of votes who get it on a poll gets a win. That's what it works. So after the first minute and before the last one, let's check who gets a win. Indeed, yes. So when can a debater ask for a POI is nothing but point of information, which is an opportunity to interrupt the speaker after the first minute and before the last minute. So we make use of this 5 minutes time to interrupt the speaker. Therefore, after the first minute and before the last minute, a debater can interrupt the speaker. Okay. Now, there's another prediction. Learning from prediction is the best way, as far as I experienced. Before I read a book, I just predict what could be happening from the content page, just reading only titles, and think or keep thinking in the form of predicting and get an idea. After that, I will start reading, no matter a book, no matter a theory, no matter a novel or a fiction. Similarly, we are experimenting, constructing propositional case, which is relevant to debate. Well, POI means point of information. We are going to learn it soon. Just have patience in a minute or two. If you have a question for the speaker and you get chosen during the speaker's list, you need to say point of information. That's what. Anybody can interrupt. You do not need to wait for your chance. All you need to pay attention, taking analytical notes and evaluate immediately. rebut, we immediately interrupt the speaker. So, what we call it? Point of information. So, having checked this possible answer, we can understand that we have learned from one another. Okay, so we have introduced some key terms or new terms that is being used in the debate contest, which is relevant to the proposition team or which is relevant constructing propositional case. The topic that is being discussed in a debate is called so the number of votes that goes motion, and 2 have come up with rebuttal, 1 came up with margin, 2 come up with case building. So I appreciate your predictions, and then learning from your predictions helps you to remember for a long time. Let's check who's right. What is appropriate is motion, because a prime minister is setting the motion of a debate and defining the key terms that is mentioned in the motion. Therefore, the topic that is being discussed in debate called motion. Right. And another prediction, the judge of a debate is called see, I enjoy learning from predicting, and then start reading. It's the best. That's one of my learning experiences. Find it enjoyed. That's what this week's lesson is. You to experience the same. All right, 9 people have predicted. The judge of a debate is called adjudicator. 3 predicted director, 1 predicted referee, 1 predicted umpire. So what makes 16 of us vote adjudicator? So let's learn what is appropriate. Well, let me stop here, okay? So, the judge of a debate is called adjudicator, and these 4 people are judges. Believe me, it is true. But where do they belong? Umpire is a judge of a sports called cricket in India, Australia, South Africa, Pakistan. This cricket is a famous, popular sport. So we have umpire for cricket. Referee could be basketball and football. We have referees as a judge. Director. Remember, Jilin International Studies University, we have number of directors. Each department we have deans and director. Director is the judge. Offer courses, invite experts. Academics administrated, monitored, evaluated, and work through the director. So academics, we have a judge, director, Adjudicator is a judge of a debate. Now, states should raise the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour. Remember, this is an example proposed by the Prime Minister and supported by Deputy Prime Minister, member of the government, and whip speakers. States should rise, which this sounds a policy. States should raise the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour. What does it sound? Right. See, I enjoy looking at your predictions, and I hope you may find it useful learning from prediction. Well, that's evidence. So what we are learning, what we have started with, there should be some recent and relevance. So what is relevance is constructing propositional case. So what is recent that we have been listening and discussing the key terms. Therefore, we will learn what does it sound. States should raise a minimum wage at least $15 an hour. So what is relevant to this lesson, of this as an example? We can learn from 9 people. It is an example of motion. The Prime Minister set motion of a debate is this one of the example. So opponent team may come up with fine tuning with evidence which is relevant to the motion. So when constructing a propositional case, when you happen to see such thing, what we name it a motion. I think this prediction will help you refamiliarize when you perform with this question. When you turn a topic into a statement that can be argued, you have created. Remember, what is relevant is constructing propositional case. Let's check. Your prediction should be recent and relevant to the situation. So, when you turn a topic into a statement that can be argued, you have created. Well then, let's learn from one another. Let's see who gets a win. So, in other words, what we see it, we have created a motion, because this lesson, it's all about constructing propositional case. So, constructing propositional case which is relevant and recently we discussed is motion. So to have a basic understanding what is emotion is nothing but when you turn a topic into a statement that can be argued with opponent team. That's what in debate contests what they say, the prime minister is set the motion of a debate. All right. When we have learned what sounds emotion that is performed by prime minister, and the next new term we should be familiarized, short interjection like questions and comments, statements that opposite team can offer the debater who is speaking. Remember, this is quite relevant with this lesson, and recently you have performed, so which helps you predict appropriate. Yes, that's called point of information. In other words, POI. That's it. So what sounds POI? POI is nothing but a short interjections like questions, comments, statements. You can perform this after the first minute and before the last minute. So in short, point of information, POI. Well, I'm happy there are 99% we have familiarized the key terms and the responsibilities involved with constructing propositional case. And now we will try to practice some basics of roles and responsibilities. Let me learn from you, from your predictions. If I can learn, absolutely everyone can learn responding to this. So I'm sorry about this typo. So see, when you read this, give clear background about the motion and bring up the early argument of the reason. Government agreed with the motion or tasks off. What does it sound? So 20 people predicted that's who, nothing else, Prime Minister. Prime Minister is part of a government, and Prime Minister have got the responsibility to set the motion, and Prime Minister is the first speaker who perform early argument. Therefore, there is a possibility your prediction is appropriate. Yes. Okay. Now, member of opposition and opposition whip. Where do you think they belong? Closing government team or closing opposition team? Okay. What I'm checking with the polling, number of votes goes high with mentioning closing opposition team. Let me check. Yes, indeed. because we have got two teams. One is opening team and another one is closing team. So we have got government side and opposition side. Member of opposition and opposition whip, they are part of a closing opposition team. Right, from the opponent teams, we have got first speaker and second speaker is a deputy leader of opposition. Where do you think they belong? Let's check your prediction. So it's a kind of a competition. You've got the opening opposition and government. Let's see who gets a win and where do we learn from? To whom are we going to learn from? Well, allow me to end this due to time constraint. First speaker and second speaker from opposition side, therefore it is opening opposition team. If you happen to see government, then your performance, your prediction sounds appropriate, but it is not. This sounds easier now. Member of government and government whip are included. Let me take a look at this polling. Closing government and closing opposition. So, I have no doubt that you have familiarized the roles of a debate contest. Indeed, yes. Opening government, we have got only Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister. Therefore, we have closing government, member of the government and government whip. So, which sounds there are only four people there are only four roles in debate contest. Opening government, closing government, opening government, Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, closing government, member of the government and whip speakers. So I have no doubt that well, I enjoy looking at the polling chart. Okay, so four of us have come up with this is opening opposition, but 19 of us, they believe it is opening government team. It's now 20. Let's see who gets a win. See, opening Prime Minister is part of the government. He is the administrator. He is proposing a policy, kind of motion of a debate set by the Prime Minister on behalf of the government. Therefore, first and second speaker of the government is an opening government team. So, what we have familiarized, the roles of a debate contest. And now, but what we need to discuss a little bit about their responsibilities. This number 41701. So, since we have committed to practice evidence-based communication, therefore, let me share with you evidence that you have engaged and supported active participation okay. Now, when it comes to responsibilities, you can visit unit number 1 and this unit number 9. Your textbook have come up with the CD. You have to watch and do a role play. It's nothing wrong copying the language style and the body language that you can learn from viewing the video. And moreover, I need you to read page number 154 to 55 so that you can refamiliarize about how to construct propositional case. So constructing propositional case, it's a teamwork, setting the motion, outlining the argument, entire debate, and analyze the motion of defining the key terms that is involved with the motion, and all other things you can learn when you read 54 to 55 and understand the basics. What is the role of a parliament and why do the two houses of parliament debate? So the roles of Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister: supporting one another, Prime Minister outlining the argument, that's his responsibility, Deputy Prime Minister acknowledging the Prime Minister, and then come up with new arguments and discuss in details. And prior to this, Deputy Prime Minister frequently start with rebuttal speech. What may come up with the leader of opposition. So, use your CD to see how the flow works with Prime Minister and the leader of opposition, Deputy Prime Minister on the motion. So, you can understand everyone will have the opportunity to perform 7 minutes. So, I do strongly recommend you to visit lesson number 1 and lesson number 9, which is completely useful and relevant when you want to become a debater. You need to familiarize roles and responsibilities and how teamwork function and how team members they work in a team and so on. So which gives you experience, which helps you to experiment your constant thinking, analytical way of taking notes, speaking critically to convince the judges and persuade the audience or change the way of thinking of the opposition team. So such experiment you should experience it when you are a student. Once you experience it, then you know where you are, then you know what do you think you need before facing the people in the real world or people at the workplace. Well, so this is how I want you to experience and use your book, refamiliarize yourself and prepare yourself for performance. Performance is the key than investing too much time gathering information. It's not. What I see, less is more. Collect less and practice more helps you to perform with the satisfactory, perform for persuasion, convincing, or change the way of thinking of the listener or audience or readers. Well, that's it for now. I want you to have a basic understanding and the purpose, benefit of participating English debate as a debater.